happens. Hey there. My guest today started her career just like most other people. Right out of college, she went into sales. And then for 25 years, life just happened. And one day she woke up and decided she is going to finally start pursuing what it is that she really, really wants. And so I'm really excited to bring you my guest today, Kathleen Chabus. She is a best-selling author, a coach, and a speaker. And I am excited to go through her how it started, how it's going story. So thank you for being with us today, Kathleen.
Thank you for having me, Amanda. I'm really excited to be here.
So tell me a little bit about how it started. I know, like, you got to think to the Wayback Machine. It's not that far back. It's not as far back as mine, but tell us a little bit about your journey at the kind of the beginning of your whole career path, like college and jobs and all of that stuff. How did you get started?
Okay, well, I graduated college. I went to school for psychology. So I always loved people. Like I loved studying people, people watching. I think we all do. Um, and I finished college. I had no idea really what I wanted to do. I know I was done. I didn't want to go on any further than that for like a doctorate or whatnot. And I was waitressing. So I was waitressing, and I'll never forget it. There was one of the other waitresses who became a good friend of mine said, "Oh, I'm going on an interview tomorrow. It's for pharmaceutical sales." I had no idea what it was, and she said, "I don't know what they do, but they make XYZ." And I was, "Sign me up. That's what I'll do." And that sort of launched me on a journey. I went to an interview, ended up it almost feels like getting on the wrong bus and like just kind of staying on it,
And
And
hopefully it'll get to your stop eventually.
yeah, and I don't say that as like a negative because it really did give me a really good life. It really did, and I enjoy a lot of it. I enjoy the people part of it of sales, but it was never truly what I loved and wanted to do, and I just never really got off the bus. Life happens.
Yeah.
So.
Back then, too, pharmaceutical sales was very different than it is today.
Very.
But you stuck with it in the medical industry, whether it was pharmaceuticals or otherwise,
Mhm.
for those 25 years. But you had to see the changes, all of the big ones come through. Do you think part of that kind of helped push you forward to get to the place where you want to go for what you want? Or would you have, I don't know how to say it. Like, would you have left if it was still the same kind of career path as it was when it started? I feel like it was more fun back then. You could take people lunch, you could take them to dinner, you could play golf or whatever it is, right? You're just a schmoozer almost. But then policies and everything changed. So did that kind of help propel you to want to really look at other options?
Well, it had already started to shift right when I came on board. I guess it was like 2000, 2001, give or take. So it had already started to shift, but I do remember the fun days of like dinners and it was more, entertainment driven. I was pharmaceutical, I didn't love. I moved over to like more diagnostic, which I really liked, because that was more, um, I guess that was taken off the table, the whole idea of like entertaining. But did it propel me to want out? I guess so. I guess it definitely, I didn't love it as much.
Hmm.
It seemed more like Big Brother, more like structured. So yeah, I would say yes. I didn't
It
love it as
wasn't
much.
as independent.
Yes, exactly.
So, what was your first move as you were kind of making this transition from kind of that? I mean, that's a long part of your life of being in that career, not to mention you were raising children and all the normal other things too. But what was your first step really in did something happen where you recognize like I need to make a change? That's one question. And then what was your first step in making a change?
Well, I think I started to dip my toe into like a different life, so to speak, when I wrote my book. So I decided, I had always loved to write. So I had all these different like folders. It was almost not like my little secret, but kind of, I had just like folders of writing. And I ended up meeting up with an author that I respected at one point and felt comfortable enough to share some of my writings. And he said, this is really good. Like, what are you going to do with this? And it felt really, I felt validated, like, oh, wow, this is good. Like, I didn't even occur to me. And he said, I think you should maybe pursue something with this. So I ended up reaching out to a publisher that I had
Hmm.
gotten in touch with. And she said, I really like this. I think this could be a book. So that was sort of my first like dipping my toe in. But there was still so much fear. And I think so many women can relate with that. There was
Yeah.
still so much fear. Like I had my safety net, and I refer to it as like the golden handcuffs because I think so many people get stuck with like, well, this is a nice life. And
Yeah.
almost like, who am I to want more? There's abundance, there's this, and who am I to want more? But it didn't fill my soul.
Yeah.
And so that was my first thing, was writing the book and putting it out there. And that felt way more aligned with where I was as a person than my regular job.
Tell what was the book? Remind me what the kind of the premise of that.
So it was called Creating Happiness. And it was all about how I feel like, myself included, everything is myself included. So many people chase happiness when actually it's their only one true way to have it is to create it from within.
Hmm.
And it took me so long to realize that. And I did spend so many years chasing it. And like maybe if I look a certain way, if I have, this much money in the bank, if I have whatever it was always external. So
Yeah.
always chasing something outside of myself.
It's the
And
if then, if
yes,
when, or when then.
yep, I'll be
When this
happy
happens,
when.
then I'll be fine or happy or whatever. Yeah. But you never get there, right?
You never
When you
get
put
there.
it
The
that way.
goalpost keeps moving. It keeps moving. And so it was about that, like learning how it comes from within. What I didn't realize at the time was there was still so much stuff that needed to be worked through, um, that hadn't been addressed yet. But it was a start. It was definitely my first start.
But you were doing that in tandem with having your career too. You didn't just quit your job and go out and write a book and then hope something happened because you
Exactly.
had responsibilities, right?
So I had, I have three teenagers now. Um, They are 15, 16, 17. So you can imagine how crazy,
Oh my gosh.
crazy those years were.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely didn't feel comfortable just jumping right in altogether. So yeah, I stayed with work.
So you wrote the book and then what happened? What was the next step? What happened next?
Well, that's the interesting part is, so I wrote the book and all I ever wanted to do was speak, right? That was my dream. I had this feeling of just wanting to share my voice, help others, whatever. And so I wrote the book and I started to do a little bit of speaking behind it. And I feel like once I started putting myself out there, I started putting the brakes on it. And that's what I meant when I said like there was so much work that needed to be
Uh-huh.
done and so much. And I never really pursued it. There was so much fear attached with sharing my voice and being my authentic self and really putting the message that I wanted to out there. And so I put the brakes on everything. I went back to the comfortably uncomfortable
Yeah.
gold handcuffs of safety. And here I am all these years later, and it's like I can't do it anymore.
Is there anything that was the flag in the ground that said, I'm done? I can't do this anymore? Or was it just maybe a culmination over the years and you finally just hit that point?
I think definitely a culmination, just like a quiet, like chipping away of feeling feeling like I'm not living my purpose.
Hmm.
So maybe my kids getting older, like my my one son's looking at colleges now, and like talking to them about living your dream and figure out what you really love and pursue that. And then thinking in the back of my head, like, don't do what I did.
Yeah.
And that was an eye opener.
So yeah, it's almost like you're do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. And also the age thing, like I'm 49, I'll be 50 in August. And there's something about there's something about that number, right? It's kind of like, oh, it's starting to feel like, if not now, when?
Yeah.
When does this happen? And I also have to give huge credit to I have a life coach, Mark, who
Yeah.
we have just dug so deep into like inner child and um so much healing attached with that that has released so much fear. So I have to give huge credit to that. We worked together like 2.5 years and just chipping away at all the fear attached, the fear of like sharing my voice, taking the mask off. Sales, really, to be successful in sales, not always, but on many levels, requires a mask,
Hmm.
like just having a horrible day and you're crying in the parking lot because of whatever's happening. Had gone through a divorce, and and having to just pull it together, put it on, and like that's what you're literally paid for.
Yep.
And to go in and just show up, and I got really good at that, and I don't want to be really good at that.
No, it's not, it doesn't feel good. I was like that too it was education, right? But there was a lot of stuff going on in my own life and I'd cry at my desk in the morning. And part of it was I didn't really enjoy what I was doing anymore, but the other stuff was just life stuff in the background that you can't just leave at the door, but you
Yep.
had to because you had your job to do, right? So I can see and relate to that for sure. So now from the like confinement of your job
Mhm.
to writing the book to doing some of the healing work, tell us how it's going now. Like what's changed now, where you're at, what direction you're headed.
So right now it's just about sharing my voice, getting comfortable, just being the real me, which even just having this conversation with you feels so good. I don't feel edited. I don't feel like I'm thinking about what I have to say. Just getting really comfortable with um, being me, because I really do think that's my message, is that I don't think people have to wait until they're 50 to say, oh, wait, maybe I should be on the list, or maybe what I really want out of this life matters. So that's where I'm at now. And I want to, like I said, I've done some speaking. Um, I want to do more of that. I feel like that's what lights me up.
Inspiring others to do the things that light them up, right?
Exactly. And bringing together, another big thing is like, I have a workshop coming up in February, and that I'm planning, and just bringing together a community. I feel like there's so many women who
Yeah.
are like, kids are either, older and don't need us as much, or they're fully grown, and you kind of always put yourself to the bottom of the list. And now it's like the kids are getting older, and it's like, well, where am I? Where
Yeah.
am I on the list? So a big part of what I want to do is like bring together a community where people can talk about this, and people cannot feel so alone, and
Uh-huh.
can feel connected, right? Like a sense of connection. That's so important to me. And I think that the reason I want to do it live is I feel like that's missing.
Yes.
You
So
know,
this is
that
you're talking about a live in-person experience, not just, and I don't minimalize the ability to meet online. We're meeting online right now, and I think it's incredible. But your vision for this community and the workshops and things that those are meant to be live
yes,
connection in person.
yes, I think there's definitely, and too, also, we would never have this opportunity if there wasn't for,
Yeah.
virtual. So yes, definitely not downplaying that. But I also know for myself, there's just something happens. Like I've gone to many like different workshops and, events over the years. And I do love that, the connection, the energy you get off of
Yeah.
people. I want to bring that back. I think I love that. I think people are really craving that.
I think so too. One thing I also know about you is that we tend to wait until we feel like everything's perfect to move forward, or
Hmm.
that we have to have everything perfectly aligned in our own lives before we can start influencing and helping others. But what have you learned about that in your own journey? I already know the answer, but others
How
don't.
much time do you have? Oh, a lot. Well, here's something funny. So I actually put a term to it. I'm calling it the condition trap. And it's once XYZ happens, then I can pursue what I really want. And not we, I put all of these conditions on things that we need to do before. For example, it probably only makes sense if I get an example. Once I once I achieve this, then I can put myself out as a speaker. Then,
Yeah.
people will want to hear what I have to say. Um, and so what do? Isn't it funny? I keep saying I. So what do is I do everything to make sure I never meet those conditions. So I never have to do that thing I'm scared of,
Yeah.
you
And you
know?
can always move the goalpost too. Like, well, I know I said that I was going to do it. I'll just use this as an example, not just for you, but for a generalization. Like, when I lose 10 pounds, then I will be ready to do the thing. Okay, you lost the 10 pounds. No, well, maybe if I lose 10 more, like I'm still not feeling like I'm ready. And then, oh, I lost 10 more. Well, I need to get some new clothes. When I get new clothes, then I'll be ready. Right. And then, oh, well, I bought clothes for winter and now it's summer. So then I gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like over and over, all these
Yeah,
excuses come up every single time. So you never get to start doing the thing. And honestly, what really will kick things off if you just start doing the thing, right?
100%. Do it afraid. And it's funny you use that as an example because like that was a biggie for me. And I know you know
It's a
that.
biggie for a lot of people. That's why I'm using it because people can relate. Almost every single human can relate to that example.
Yeah, once I'd look this way, or like my big thing was, and we dove into a lot of it, and it's not my favorite thing to even say because it's still a little bit uncomfortable, but it's vulnerable, is feeling like that would make me worthy in some way.
Right.
I'm worth listening to if I look like, my glamour shots back from however many years ago, like then I'd be worth listening to.
Yeah.
And that's so crazy. I look back at hindsight, I realize how but in the moment when you're in it, it's so valid and you're like, well, no, I want to, I have to, look a certain way for anyone to want to listen. So that has been so freeing. If you would have told me that I would be launching or, putting myself out there as a speaker in a place where I don't feel like as comfortable or I'm nowhere near these these goals that I set for
Yeah.
myself, I would have said you were crazy, but that's the gift. That's the growth is I know that it doesn't matter.
No. And I think another example that I personally struggle with is aging. I
Hmm.
don't look like I looked 10, 20 years ago. And sometimes it's more difficult than others to want to put myself out there, wherever that is, whether it's on the internet or in person or uh, just doing things, knowing that, gosh, the wrinkles around my eyes, like everybody's going to notice those. Or I'm just not the same. I don't look the same as I did all around. So that holds me personally back a lot. It's not about weight necessarily, it's more about the way I look. But the message I have or the gifts that I have to bring out don't depend on the number of smile lines that I have on my face, right? They don't depend on how many pounds I weigh or what clothes I wear. It's all internal. And it still is a really big journey to get to that point where you are knowing that you have this gift. you have this thing that you want to share with others that you can really help people, and do it afraid, like you said. Do it anyway. Nobody's looking at you the way you're looking at you. I can guarantee that. So I think once you start on your path, then things will continue to grow and evolve. But if you just keep stuck or stay put, you're never going to know what needs to be changed or what needs to evolve because you're always just staying in the same place.
So true. You actually brought to mind too. I was at a workshop a couple months ago, and I was speaking to this woman I had met, and I was saying how like I wanted to do speaking, and she's like, "What's stopping you?" And I was really just honest with her. And she said something that really stuck with me, and it was something I knew, but I think I really needed to hear. You know how like you could know
Mm-hmm.
something, but then you just really know it. And she said, nobody wants to see the finished product. Like, who wants to see someone standing up there that's like seemingly perfect and they're going to shout from the rooftops, I'm perfect and you too can be perfect if you just do this. She's like, who wants that? And I'm like, that's so true. Who are the people you're most drawn to, right? The people who are just real.
Yeah.
Like, look at like Mel Robbins. Like, I love
Yeah.
her. Like,
Me too.
she comes out, no makeup and just talking, and you just love her because it's not
It's relatable.
hateable.
Even if, I think there's a big wall to get past though. And we talked about this offline a little bit about feeling safe. A
Hmm.
lot of it, like that's one of our core needs is safety, right? We are from our lizard brain days. Everything was done to keep us safe from predators or from starvation or whatever it is. So I think a lot of times we put ourselves in this bubble of sameness so
Hmm.
we don't have to go out and risk being unsafe, which could be judgment, could be all kinds of things that we're the safety of and the golden handcuffs, like you said, are more comfortable than the thought of whatever is on the other side of that.
I totally agree. And I think that for me, it's like safety became a cage. Like I was
Yeah.
super safe, but I felt like and that old saying, it's like the cage that locks from the inside and you have the keys. And it sounds so cheesy, but it's really true. Like, when did safety become a cage where, okay, I am, you know, comfortably uncomfortable, but
Yeah.
I'm like scared to make any type of move in any type of direction. Like, I don't want to live like that.
No.
That's, and I think so many people don't. And I did for a really long time. I think a lot of people do just because, um, right, it's our nervous system. So our nervous system, and me and my coach Mark talk about this all the time, like your nervous system's just doing its job.
Yeah.
Not its goal is to scan for danger and keep you alive, survival mode, keep you
Yeah.
safe. Where danger isn't always like, a lion lurking around the corner. Danger could be, in fifth grade, you were excluded or bullied or
Or
left
your
out of.
parents got divorced or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something. And and you're scanning for that. Like, I don't want to do anything that's going to result in me feeling like that
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. And
So
we
the
don't even
goal,
do it consciously at that point. It's just happening.
100%. And so we become hyper vigilant, and you're always looking for that to happen, and you're on guard at all times. And I say that from a personal perspective, how long I lived like that. And I don't want to live like that anymore.
So what's the solution for people? Like there's everyone I talk to has that, a piece of that. So
Yep.
what's the solution then to continue to move forward on this journey to have your life the way you want it and doing the things that you really are meant to be doing in this world, even though You have all of these fears and all of these things. Because if we put it back in the other perspective, well, when I figure out all of these childhood traumas, then I'll be ready to go, whatever, right? Or when I fill in the blank, then I'll go ahead and do the thing that I want to do. Well, then you're 85 years old and you never did anything but keep trying to dig up past that. Maybe it didn't even happen. Like that's. So what's the answer to that to women that are and men that are listening that have can relate to this? Like, gosh, yes, I have this idea and I want to move on it. It doesn't have to be speaking. It could be they want to create a new website for themselves. They want to create they want to start painting furniture. Like, I don't, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be putting yourself out there on this scale that we're talking about. But how do you help? What would you say to someone that has been in this like if then, when then situation and just to finally just go do it without having to have it all perfect? What would you say to them?
I would say to them exactly what I'm doing now, is just small baby steps. So for me, I'll use myself as an example, speaking up for myself and risking that person being offended or not liking me is very hard. And so if I do that twice a day, it's like nothing happened. The house didn't burn down. Nothing happened. So it increases my sense of safety. And it's like stacking those wins. Like,
Hmm.
okay, that happened. I had like, literally, it happened over the weekend. I had, my sister was coming in to visit. There was something I had to address with her. And I mean, even just now, it's so funny. But it was like, no, you have to address this. And maybe she won't want to come. If you mention this thing that needs to be addressed, she may not want to visit you. But that's okay. This is you speaking up. This is you
Hmm.
having a voice. And I did it. And I waited for her response. And those hours felt like months. And I was like, oh, this is. And she wrote back, no problem. Sounds good. See you later. And came and we had a great night. And I was like, oh, so I can say, right, say what you mean and don't say it mean. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I can speak up for myself, and the sky didn't fall. And then the next day I was able to have a difficult conversation with one of my kids about something who's I won't get into, but a slightly difficult conversation, and it went well. And I was like,
Huh.
oh, okay. So it's just stacking like little things where it doesn't have to be. I always thought it had to be like, just do it. Big, bold move. Get
Yeah.
out of your comfort zone. You have to. And it was always like a paralyzing fear. And now it's like, oh, I could just saying no when you want to say no.
Yeah.
Instead
Instead
of
of
like,
saying
sure,
yes
I'll
to
go.
please people.
Yes, people pleasing, exactly. And then you resent the hell, you say yes to do something. And then isn't this so funny? Then you resent the hell out of the person who
Or the
just didn't.
thing you're doing instead of why not just do the thing you wanted to do instead? Like who's people understand if you want to say no. But I know we are very I will say as women for sure, we're kind of conditioned to be very polite
Mhm.
and not to hurt somebody's feelings. And if that means going to the baby shower when you don't really want to go to the baby shower or whatever it is, you'll still go and you'll grin and bear it. And then,
Yep.
but the whole time you're like, gosh, I did not want to be here. And guess what? Everybody can feel that you don't really want to be there too.
I know it's counterproductive. You're like,
Yeah.
I call it, not I call it, I've done research on it and just in diving into it, it's, self-abandonment. It's like abandoning our true selves to, for me, like, keep people happy.
Yeah. Keep the peace.
Keep the peace, and at
Yeah.
what cost? Now I'm walking around, I'm stressed out. So I've been doing little things like that, and it is so freeing, and it's making the big stuff easier,
Yeah. Not feel like such big stuff.
not feel like such big stuff. Even like this, just sharing authentically and having an authentic conversation is so much less scary because it's like practicing that in
Yeah.
my regular life.
Well, that's all wonderful. Now, let's sum it up. What's coming up next? And you mentioned the workshop. You still have your book. Like it's not, it's still available, right? So I can put a
That's
link
still
for
available on
that.
Amazon. Yep.
You've got these
What's
workshops coming up.
what's yeah, honestly, just not just speaking. I'm going to put myself out there. I've started reaching out. I've gotten some feedback. So I really just want to start speaking, sharing my message. And what is the message? The message is really, I think that there's this thing we're all afraid of doesn't exist. And it's, you have one life, right? You have
Yeah.
one life, and not waiting till you're, however old to pursue what you really want. So that's what's next. Just getting more comfortable, sharing my voice. I'm so excited for the in-person workshops. Um,
And who
just
knows what those will turn into, right? It's gonna, but again, I say this all the time, you cannot course correct without starting the course. So you have to do something to get that ball rolling, and then you can steer it in a direction. You don't have to have it all figured out step by step to the very end when you start. You can just start.
it's so funny when me and you first connected years ago. I remember your slogan. You said ready, fire, aim. Do you
Yeah.
remember that? I
Yeah.
always think of you but that's sort of what you're saying. Is like you could always, you know, correct,
Shift directions, change your mind. Heaven forbid you can change your mind.
change your mind. Yeah, and I want to do coaching. That's definitely what has completely changed my life.
Yeah,
I feel like that it could completely change my life. And I think that is something that I feel just inspired to do. So launching into that. So a lot of new stuff, but I feel completely for the first time, like completely in alignment with um my day and where I'm headed.
that's amazing. So if people want to connect with you, Kathleen, where's the best place for them to do that?
Probably on Instagram.
Uh-huh.
So
I'll put the links in the
yeah.
show notes too.
Okay.
Instagram. Are you active on LinkedIn or not so much?
I am Kathleen Chabus on LinkedIn. I do have to update it. I've had a few changes recently, but yes.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you for sharing your authentic story and your journey of how it started, how it's going. And I can't wait to see what happens with the workshop in February.
Thank you for having me, Amanda. You're amazing. I think that. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll see you soon.
Okay.